still brings chills to me, still, get goosebumps.
That changed my life.
While Buffalo continues to rally for the recovery of safety Damar Hamlin, we'll show you how Springdale did the same thing for one of its own decades ago. It's a story you'll see only on 4029. Plus, a new legislative session starts Monday in Arkansas, and the state will swear in its first ever female governor on Tuesday. We've got everything that you need to know ahead of the big week in Little Rock. And the House of Representatives gains ground on electing a new speaker. We'll show you where things stand at this hour. 4029 News at 10 starts right now.
Live, local, late breaking. This is 4029 News at 10.
And we begin the show tonight with breaking news. One person is dead following a plane crash in Washington County. Now, the sheriff's office there says the call came in about 6 o'clock about a plane crashing southeast of Fayetteville. Deputies arrived on the scene. They found the crashed plane, and they say the only person on the aircraft, Lewis Barnes of Taneytown, he did not survive. Now, Washington County detectives, they're investigating along with the FAA. We'll keep you updated on this developing story. Well, thanks for joining us on this Friday night. I'm Brandon Evans, and the weekend has arrived. So before we get to your top stories, let's find out what you need to know weather-wise with Chief Meteorologist Darby Bybee. So, Darby, anybody that's got outdoor plans this weekend, they should be okay, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, on the whole, pretty good weather. Pardon me. Pretty good weather out there right now. My allergies not helping me any. But hey, take a look out there right now. Temperatures upper 40s to around 50 across northwest Arkansas, the River Valley. It is not going to cool down a whole lot tonight because we've got the south breeze, a little bit of cloud cover in the area. We're ahead of this system, waking up still in the low 50s tomorrow morning. Could be a spotty shower tonight, tomorrow morning, not much. Warmest part of the day going to be late morning into the early afternoon, and then behind this front late in the afternoon, cooler air starts to filter in. Temperatures drop the low 50s and upper 50s, low 50s and upper 40s in northwest Arkansas by the afternoon, and then just a cooler day on Sunday in the 30s in the morning, and then kind of upper 40s for us in the afternoon. So chillier Sunday, but still not bad. In the River Valley, a little cooler as we go towards Sunday as well. But on the whole, Brandon, not a bad weekend. Rain chances are really very low. They increase next week. So do our temperatures. They come right back up. We're going to talk more about all of that 7-day forecast coming up.
All right, let's turn to the latest now on safety Damar Hamlin. Doctors say he is showing significant signs of improvement after going into cardiac arrest on the field Monday night. Now, doctors removed his breathing tube today. It has been a tough week for Buffalo Bills players, but we're told he's now communicating and even FaceTiming his teammates.
Being on that field, you lose sleep, you hurt for your brother. The scene just replays over and over in your head. It's something we'll never forget.
Bills head coach Sean McDermott says when Hamlin appeared on the screen during that FaceTime call, he said the entire team stood up and clapped. Now, doctors say the process of reviving Hamlin began about a minute after his heart stopped on the field. Now, one of those people who rushed to help was Denny Kellington of Oklahoma. Kellington is the Bills' assistant athletic trainer. He's from Midwest City. He's a graduate of Oklahoma State, and officials say he and the other first responders likely saved Hamlin's life. Millions watched Monday Night Football on ABC when Buffalo Bills safety Damar Hamlin went down. Nearly everyone saw something they'd never seen before. But what if I told you something similar happened to someone right here in our area? November 7th, 1986, Springdale High School's Mackenzie Phillips went into cardiac arrest during their game with Fayetteville. Now, Dave Creek was the lead paramedic assigned to the game that night.
We found him pulseless and not breathing, so immediately started CPR. We did it, I would say, for 10 minutes or so on the field, and then got the stretcher out there and was performing it as we were taking him to the ambulance.
Also there on the field that night, two of McKenzie's teammates, Brian Hensey and Mike Pounders.
You know, when the incident happened, it was just a state of shock. You never expected anybody to go through that. And at 17, you don't understand what's happening, really.
You're scared to death. You're not really interested in playing another down of football at that moment. You know, you're just worried about your teammate, you know, your friend. It's just it was a scary moment in life.
And just like Monday night, the game was canceled. Now, meanwhile, Mackenzie, like Hamlin, literally fighting for his life.
We worked on him for quite a while in the emergency room. That was my first experience with something like that. Of course, I had seen cardiac arrest as we're transporting somebody, you know, in the back of an ambulance or work in those types of situations, but not an actual football player during a football game.
Then something miraculous happens. Mackenzie makes it.
So when I first woke up in the hospital, I had no idea what had happened. I was just a blank page. And so as I'm told, it begins to sink in. You know, players are tough, and they're taught to be tough. And we have broken bones and pulled muscles and such as that. But you don't see their hearts. Well, in this scenario, you see their hearts. And that's overwhelming. That's burned into my memory banks forever. I don't remember my first kiss. I don't remember the first fish that I caught, but I do remember their emotions.
More than 3 decades later, those emotions come roaring back as he watched those Monday night football events unfold.
You saw the silence on the field, and you see the care and the compassion and people that were emotionally attached and distraught.
And whether it was the doctors and paramedics like Creek, the fans in the stands, or the family and friends that came to see him in the hospital, he says the support from the Springdale community was amazing. Still, he says one memory burns the brightest.
It was my teammates, the people that I'd played with for years and that I had worked with and gone through so very much with. Those are the people that I hold dear.
And for those who were there, November 7th, 1986, Creek Pounders, Hensey, it's hard for all of them not to see something greater, something spiritual in what happened that night.
The stands were full, but it was dead silent, and you could just about hear, you know, hundreds of people praying at the time.
There's no doubt in my mind with what he went through. No doubt that prayer pulled him through.
Mackenzie's doing well and made it through. I definitely put people, you know, put things in perspective that, you know, there's more to life than just, you know, sports.
Now, Mackenzie not only recovered, but he went on to play football for the Razorbacks. He's now married with 2 teenage kids of his own who both play sports. All right, well, coming up, the next Arkansas legislative session. It begins Monday, folks. Experienced and new lawmakers, they are all heading to Little Rock this weekend. And one first-time legislator is also a brand new dad. So in addition to learning the ropes of lawmaking, Zach Gramlich also learning how to be a father, all while being a middle school teacher. Now, Gramlich, he represents Central and South Fort Smith. He says he's doing good things for Arkansans. And when you do that, doing it for your family goes hand in hand.
I know that I can use help to better educate kids, and you know, I need those tools and resources to make that happen. I wanted Fort Smith to be a place where you know, my children and my children's children chose to live and get a job and raise a family, start a business, and so I'm going down there to do this for her. Yeah, it's going to be tough.
Now, as a teacher, Gramlich's going to be voting with firsthand experience on education bills while in Little Rock. He'll also be serving on the Public Health Committee and the Committee for Aging, Children, and Youth. Well, the legislative session, it's not the only thing happening in Little Rock next week. The inauguration of Arkansas's first woman governor, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, that is set for Tuesday. And today, the governor-elect announcing another nomination. She plans to tap U.S. federal prosecutor Allison Bragg as inspector general. Sanders says Bragg is ready to tackle waste, fraud, and abuse at every level of government. Bragg will replace current Inspector General Elizabeth Thomas Smith, who was appointed in 2015 by outgoing Governor Asa Hutchinson. You know, we're going to have complete coverage of the legislative session and the inauguration. 4029 News is going to be live with special coverage. That's going to begin 10:30 Tuesday morning. And the inauguration for Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt's second term in office is this Monday, and the next Oklahoma legislative session begins February 6th. Well, the House of Representatives of Washington, D.C. is back in session, taking another jab at electing a speaker. Republican Kevin McCarthy gaining more support than he has this entire week, but tensions between Republican members, it continues to prevent winning enough votes to get the speaker's gavel. ABC's Faith Abube is in Washington with the latest.
4 days into floor votes to elect the next House Speaker, Republican leader Kevin McCarthy at last picking up momentum. Cheers on the House floor as more than a dozen of the anti-McCarthy holdouts moved into the GOP leader's support column, cracking the ultra-conservative coalition against him. McCarthy. This amid back-to-back losses for the California lawmaker. But even with the progress, McCarthy still lacks the votes to claim the speakership.
The last 4 days, they haven't been ideal. They've been difficult. But I do see fighters. I see patriots who love this country and want to make things better.
Friday morning, just before his 12th straight loss, McCarthy walking into the U.S. Capitol with a pep in his step and confidence in his voice.
We're going to make progress. We're going to shock you.
But McCarthy is still quiet on exactly what that means and when the votes he needs to secure the gavel will materialize. The GOP leader reiterating his latest round of concessions to the so-called rebel Republicans who have refused to lend him their support, including a change to the House rules to allow just one lawmaker, Republican or Democrat, to trigger a vote to remove him as Speaker. While some have flipped in his favor, the remaining ultra-conservatives claiming never Kevin are still holding their ground.
Mr. McCarthy doesn't have the votes today. He will not have the votes tomorrow, and he will not have the votes next week, next month, next year.
And as for how long this could drag on, McCarthy himself is reluctant to put a timeline on it. A sign that even with the movements that he says are happening behind the scenes, nothing is guaranteed until the final votes are tallied. In Washington, Faith Abube, ABC News.
And today marks 2 years since the deadly attack on the U.S. Capitol. How the president is honoring those who defended democracy that day. And a new law aims at avoiding a repeat of those events. We've got a breakdown of the Electoral Count Reform Act. That's next. Hey, welcome back. Well, today marks 2 years since the January 6th attack. A moment of silence held on the Capitol steps today to remember those who were lost. Now, the White House also holding a ceremony this afternoon where President Biden awarded the Presidential Citizens Medal to some of the heroes from that day. ABC's Rena Roy has more.
2 years ago, this was the scene at the United States Capitol as insurrectionists tried to stop Congress from certifying the 2020 election results. Today, the Capitol was silent and solemn, a remembrance for the 5 people who were killed, including Capitol officer Brian Sicknick, who lost his life defending the Capitol.
We will never forget their sacrifice, and we will never forget this day.
140 officers were also seriously injured that day. President Biden hosting a ceremony at the White House, posthumously awarding Sicknick with the Presidential Citizens Medal.
And history will remember your names. They'll remember your courage. They'll remember your bravery. They'll remember your extraordinary commitments to your fellow Americans.
Several other officers, like Capitol Officer Harry Dunn, and election workers also receiving the prestigious award, one of the nation's highest civilian honors. Officer Dunn still works at the Capitol and tells ABC he still struggles with PTSD from that day, recently experiencing a flare-up.
Because I had made such good progress to heal and be able to deal with these emotions and these feelings in a healthy manner, but it was all just like out of nowhere, just ripped away from me. And it wasn't a specific incident that caused it. I was just like, man, I thought I had this under control.
The White House says more than 950 people have been arrested in connection with the Capitol riot, and that the investigation and prosecution of those responsible continues to move forward at an unprecedented speed and scale. Rena Roy, ABC News, Los Angeles.
And the Grab-It man charged in connection with the January 6th Capitol attack set to appear in court next week. He's facing several charges, including theft of government property, as well as aiding and abetting. Now, his trial, it is scheduled to begin in Washington, D.C. Monday morning. So in addition to the commemoration of the January 6th attack, new actions are being put into place to prevent similar events from ever happening again. Amy Lou joins us with more from our Washington bureau.
Nearly 2 years since the deadly riots unfolded at the Capitol, lawmakers acting to avoid a repeat. Passing in the latest government spending bill, the Electoral Count Reform Act, modernizing a 19th century law.
It's a mixture of saying this law needs to be updated with, well, we now have a real impetus because 2020 exposed weaknesses.
The law clarifies the role of the vice president during the certification process as purely ceremonial, raises the bar for members of both the House and Senate to object to results from one member to at least a fifth of each chamber, and expedites election challenges in federal court.
It tries to lay out a little bit more clearly what a slate of electors is, what's legitimate, who is certifying them in the state or who is sending them to Washington.
The law prevents state legislatures from overriding the popular vote and submitting multiple slates of electors.
It addresses, I think, all of the major things we want resolved when it comes to strengthening how presidential elections get from election night into Congress and then to Inauguration Day.
In addition to this afternoon's ceremony at the White House, Democrats will also lead a bipartisan ceremony later this morning at the steps of the Capitol. At the White House, I'm Amy Lou.
And for the first time in months, a probable cause affidavit recently released shows what led investigators to arrest Brian Kohberger, the suspect in the murders of 4 Idaho College students. So court documents show that DNA from the trash of Kohberger's family home matched the DNA on a knife sheath that they found at the crime scene.
I think they have a pretty strong case just based on that. At least circumstantial. They still don't have a murder weapon. Be great if they found it.
Now, one of the roommates who was not harmed told investigators that she heard crying in the house that same morning and a male voice saying, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." Now, investigators haven't said if the suspect knew the victims. It's also unclear the unharmed roommate didn't immediately call 911. The motive also remains a mystery at this time. Well, flu season well underway, but according to the CDC, new cases and hospitalizations, they've actually been declining for several weeks now. So far, been about 22 million cases, 230,000 hospitalizations, and 14,000 deaths nationwide this flu season. And while the peak came earlier this year, experts say it's actually shaping up to be a fairly normal flu season. Here in the natural state, flu levels have declined from very high to high. According to the Department of Health's weekly flu report, nearly 1,200 people were hospitalized statewide during the week of Christmas. And sadly, 3 more deaths were added to this report. Well, time to take another look at the forecast. The weekend has arrived. Happy Friday, Darby.
Happy Friday to you.
You got any big weekend plans?
We are going to put in some shelving in a closet.
Man, that sounds like fun.
It is going to be amazing.
Yeah, but if anybody has any plans outside, they should be okay. Going to still be kind of chilly at night, though.
Yeah,
right?
so we're going to be inside a lot, but we're going to try to get outside because it's not bad. Not bad
sunshine.
weather. Sunshine by Sunday especially. That's when we cool off a little bit. But for January, I mean, still not that bad. Look at the River Valley. I mean, Sunday, when that sunshine does finally return after a cloudy Saturday, that cools off a little bit, but the sun helps, and we only cool down behind this front a few degrees. So not bad at all. Waking up a little cooler Sunday morning, but still not terrible. Morning lows get a little bit cooler, but this is all warmer than average. All right, highs back well into the 60s next week. It's outside weather if you can get there, and walking the dogs, going on that jog, just being outside. Next week will be good for it. Monday through Wednesday, especially in northwest Arkansas. Cools off late in the weekend, but it warms right back up. Beyond the 5-day period, it looks warm 6 to 10 days out, and the Climate Prediction Center says it looks warm 8 to 14 days out, too. Warmer than average pattern. Mild for us. But beyond that 14-day period, there are indications that we could see a little bit of a pattern change develop after the 20th, all right, late January and early February. We'll see how that all plays out, but there could be some colder air eventually return. But in the meantime, any drop in temperatures is just not very significant and not going to be something that's terribly impactful. Now, out there right now, we've got pretty quiet conditions, temperatures across the area, mostly in the 40s to around 50. The system moving through right now doesn't have any moisture with it at the moment. It's the same one that hit California, but it's just kind of lost all its moisture. So an isolated shower tonight, otherwise just breezy and mild. Lows only dropping a few degrees and fairly quiet as we go into next week. Big system, another one hits California this weekend, even into early next week. One right behind it. That one right behind it warms us up for Wednesday, but then it starts to bring at least some rain chances as we go into Wednesday night into Thursday. So that's our next best chance of rain in northwest Arkansas is Wednesday night to Thursday. And we're not in a drought anymore. We've seen plenty of rain recently. We're looking pretty good in that regard, but we don't want to get complacent. We want to get occasional rain. It's nice to see long stretches of beautiful weather as we've got certainly for next week, but hopefully we get a little bit of rain with that system Wednesday night into Thursday. A little bit of a drop in temperatures behind it, but only a slight cool down. In the River Valley for us, well, you can see those highs in the 60s next week. That's looking pretty good. No one's complaining here, and it stays warmer than average really throughout the 7-day time frame, though we could cool down a little bit behind that system later next week too. So we'll watch for that rain chance Wednesday night into Thursday. I hope you have a good weekend, and I hope you stay with us. We've got some big sports to talk about with Meredith Mulkey. That's coming up right after the break.
On time this time. Hello, yes, can. Mic check 1 2. Mic check. Mic check. The Razorback men are gearing up for a trip to the Plains this weekend, where they'll meet Auburn for yet another top 25 SEC showdown. Now, it's always expected that teams will play their best on their home court, and that's been true for the Hogs this season, who hold a perfect 8-0 home record, but so do the Tigers. As a matter of fact, they've won 26 straight games in Neville Arena, and a place known as the Jungle because of the rowdy environment created by Tiger fans, which Coach Muss says makes it one of the toughest places to play.
I think everybody in the country knows that playing a road game at Auburn is as hard as anywhere in the country. Coach Pearl has done a great job of creating an environment. But yeah, that's a really, really hard place to play, and the record tells you so.
So the Razorbacks will need to be locked in and ready to roll when they tip off against Auburn tomorrow night at 7:30. And things are looking good for the Razorback women right now, who had a season best performance against Florida last night. Arkansas shot 49.2% from the field, with all 5 starters scoring at least 15 points apiece. The team also tallied a season high 23 assists, out-rebounded Florida, and held the Gators to just 8 points in the second quarter, leading to a 102-74 victory as the Hogs hit the century mark for the first time since 2020. Now Coach Neighbors and his crew will look to keep that momentum going when they meet Mizzou on Sunday. And spring ball is right around the corner, and the Bogle Bombers will be back on the field Sunday for their first practice of the season before opening play in February. Now Arkansas is coming off one of its most successful seasons, winning a program record 48 games in 2022 under head coach Courtney Deifel, who's transformed the Razorbacks into a premier program, and the expectations for this year's squad are just as high.
I think that we've always been really strong in the circle. We've always hit the long ball, but now we're adding so many other elements to our game and a lot more pieces and tools that we can use. I think it only makes it harder for other teams to prepare for us.
And the Gym-Backs kick off their season tomorrow as the ladies take the mat in Lincoln for a Big Ten SEC matchup with Nebraska at 3. Arkansas enters the year ranked 15th in the WCGA preseason coaches poll, with the Huskers coming in at 32. And that's a check with sports. We'll be right back after the break.
Well, a well-known volcano putting on another big show in Hawaii. Take a look at this photo from the U.S. Geological Survey's webcam as the Kilauea volcano erupted yesterday. Now, the eruption is happening in a closed area of the Hawaii Volcanoes National Park. So the good news is the eruption is confined to a larger crater, not a threat to the communities. It's beautiful, though. And before we go tonight, did you win the nearly $1 billion Mega Millions jackpot? If you don't know, get out your ticket. I've got the numbers for you. So the winning numbers picked in tonight's drawing: 3, 20, 46, 59, and 63 with the gold mega ball. Number 13, or is it 3? It's 13. So forgive that typo there. It's 13, folks. All right, the $940 million prize, the fourth largest in the contest history. It comes with a $486 million cash option, so half a bill, not bad. Good luck to everyone who bought a ticket tonight. That's going to be our time for 4029 News at 10. Have a great night and a wonderful weekend.